All right, so welcome to episode number 2, season 2 of Scandinavian Surf Talks with Kris and Adam.
Yeah.
Wow, we're so stoked, and we're on location today. Well, it's not really any kind of location; it's flat, but we're here. So, Kris, what do we have for a topic today?
Yeah, well, we have
Fear.
Fear.
No fear.
No fear. That's right. No, we have fear. There are some surfers that fears the ocean, or fear the lineup, or fear other surfers, or waves, or whatever. Sharks.
Oh yeah, there was a shark in Denmark here just last week.
Yeah, I heard so.
Because it eats mostly algae. But the thing is, it was here.
It was here.
So a lot of fear out there, and I think it's a great topic. One of our viewers suggested it, and you know what? It resonates with us too, because, I mean, myself personally, when I started surfing about just under 10 years ago now, one of the fears I had was my fear for the ocean. So one of the ways I went and hit my fear head first and just sort of said, no more. And what better way to overcome your fear than hitting it in the water and hitting some waves?
Yeah.
So that was my way of overcoming a fear. But you were mentioning also there was another surfer that was quite famous. We're not going to name drop, but one of the local surfers, real famous, real great surfer in the community. He also had a fear for surfing. And you know what? Well, I didn't know that. So it's probably a pretty common thing.
Yeah, I think so. I think a lot of I don't really particularly have any fears when it comes to surfing.
No.
But I think a lot of people have some sort of fears where surfing something, how it was involved or whatever. Yeah, maybe. But yeah, as you said, Adam, one of our viewers suggested this, and we're definitely gonna pick up this topic and talk about it.
For sure. So what else do we have fear? We have fear of motion. We have fear of wave size. Of course, it's very intimidating. The larger the waves you get out into, and the more energy there is in kilojoules there is in the water, the ocean. That can nobody likes a really big pounding.
Some have fears of depth. How deep it is.
How deep the water is. Yeah.
If they can touch the bottom.
Yeah.
Some people have fears about being in a lineup and getting hit by other people's boards and so on.
Yeah, or even in the lineup, sort of a fear of getting in other people's way for some of us that are a little bit more, I would say, insecure probably, because it's surfing is a very ego-driven sport, especially in a lineup with a crowd. There's a lot of alphas out there that are trying to paddle for the same waves, and it's not always easy to feel comfortable in that kind of situation if that's not really your, if you're a laid-back kind of surfer and you don't really want to piss other people off. I mean, rightfully so if you're in the right of way, but on the other hand, it's, there's a conflict. You're kind of like, you don't really want to get into a conflict. You're out there for chill and just enjoy yourself. You don't want to get any kind of a conflict with other surfers. So there's a fear of that for sure. Well,
definitely.
So, but fear of the lineup. Okay, let's talk about that.
I think I heard for some people that they have fears when it comes to lineup because there are too many people and they're afraid of getting hit by other people's boards.
Yeah.
So I think that there's, and of course, if you look at the percentage of people who gets to the hospital because of surfing, there's definitely something about people getting hit by people's boards.
Mm-hmm.
That's a high percentage. So. I think it's you can have that fear, and that's actually kind of logic somehow.
Mm-hmm.
I think the more you perhaps progress in surfing, and the more you're in the lineup, you start recognizing, what do I have to look out for. So you get more and more into perhaps being aware of where not to be at the wrong time. Like if you see people getting really close together, then you pedal a little bit away, one of the sides or whatever. Or if you're a longboarder like me, then you just pedal out and take the wave further out. So there
Are you telling me to snake other surfers?
I'm not doing that, but I'm saying there are things you can do.
The longboarders.
But I also, like, people who know me and who surf with me, they also know that sometimes when I'm longboarding, I'm really into everybody should be enjoying themselves. So I'm
Definitely
I'm very often also letting sets go in that I could easily pick. So I'm looking a little bit, but it of course it always depends. But if I see 6 surfers out on a shortboard and we're like 3 people on a longboard, I definitely let a lot of wave go so the shortboarders can reach it further in, for instance. But sometimes you also have to take some waves.
Of course.
But I think,
But there's a fear factor for somebody who's not used to being in a crowd, in a lineup, and I guess, how would you address that if you're an intermediate surfer, not necessarily a novice, because I think a novice belongs perhaps in their comfort zone, somewhere in the whitewater where they're not in the way, because it's more dangerous often for an experienced surfer, for a novice to be in the lineup too. So it can create some different factors. So there's a reason to fear sometimes if your level of, but if you're an intermediate surfer and you want to start, you're catching waves regularly and you want to sort of feel more comfortable in a lineup because you belong there, then how do you overcome that fear?
Well, I think first of all, a good advice, I think, would be don't go out there if there's too many people out, because the chances are, especially if there are pretty good surfers out, if there are too many people, everyone is really aggressive about getting a wave, or that's how it normally is. If there's like 25 people out, everybody want to get the waves. So if you in any way make a little mistake and trying to catch a wave and someone is already on it, then the person will most likely yell at you. It shouldn't be that way, but we have to be realistic here.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
So I think that if you get yelled at, that will only increase your fear of getting you angry or emotional or somehow. So I think don't go out where there's a lot of people out in the beginning. I think take it stepwise and try to find spots where there are not so many people out in the beginning, and it's good to go out when there's other people out, and then try to identify the people. Do they look a little bit like you, or are they really fucking idiots like I'm the coolest one in the ocean? Because then you most likely get a bad experience, and you don't want that. If you have some sort of fear, you want good experiences.
So perhaps I'm thinking, I'm listening to what you're saying there, Kris, and I'm thinking, and I'm agreeing with you, but I'm thinking, okay, perhaps one of the best ways to overcome a fear of a lineup would be just to maybe talk, break the ice. Like, you don't necessarily, your goal is to get comfortable in a lineup. Your goal is not to catch all the waves. You want to sort of overcome your fear of the lineup. So it's maybe not your goal. Your goal is to maybe catch waves, but you have to have an intermediate goal and say, the first goal I have to get over my fear of the lineup is to actually break the ice and sort of start talking with the other surfers. Most of them are too cool to talk, but you know what? You get the occasional one that's actually just really easy going, and they just really wanted to talk too, and they're just maybe waiting for somebody else to break the ice. So by you talking to them first and just having some casual small talk, then all of a sudden it seems they're also probably a little bit more, lenient towards you and say, hey, go for it, this is your wave, that type of thing. I notice that anyways a lot when I talk with other surfers in the lineup. So that's a good way to overcome your fear.
Yeah, I think definitely, break the ice, or start at the parking lot already. Like, you can talk to some people there, or the more people that you get to know. Also, if you just talk to someone after your session, then the next time you're out there, then you sort of know them, and they're more likely to welcome you than instead of try to shout at you and be an asshole.
Nothing better than having a bunch of friendlies out in the lineup. That's for sure. There's nothing better than that.
Yeah.
Because it's just so much more welcoming. People giving me the nod, the little "Hey, how's it going?" type thing. That's awesome. So that's a great way to overcome that fear for sure.
The percentage of chances are that they are more likely to, if you make a mistake, they're more likely to letting it go if they kind of know you a little bit.
Oh, for sure. Yeah.
If they don't know you at all, then they're like, fuck that guy, or get out of the ocean or whatever. People can be real assholes.
They can be real assholes, but you know what? It's probably because they're just as afraid of you as you are of them.
Yeah, definitely.
No, it's because they're like I had a buddy who was surfing out in Bora here a few weeks ago, and he told me that he's a short water. He said that there was a great session, a great swell, a lot of people in the lineup, and there was 3 female longboarders further out back, and they weren't catching waves, but they were ditching their boards. When they didn't catch a wave, they would ditch the board instead of trying to hang on to it. And so he was freaked out. And he didn't want to have a conflict with them, so he just kind of just left. So he's more scared of them than they are necessarily of him. I mean, I don't even think they were even aware that how close their board was coming to him. So, I mean, it's
that's a whole topic. Like because I sometimes surf without a leash.
Yeah.
When there's really small waves, but teaching yourself, if you're a longboarder, no matter if you have a leash on or not, teach yourself to jump down and hold on to the board, or turn your board away out of the wave. Because if you jump in the water or letting your board go, your leash is like 2.5 meters, 3 meters. Your board is like 2.5 meters, 3 meters, and that's 5 or 6 meters.
That's way longer than you think.
Way longer, and you can actually injure people really, really bad. So no matter if you surf with a leash or without a leash, make sure you got that board under control.
For sure, for sure. Yeah. So there's a reason I think why there's a lot of people are a little aggressive if you don't know what you're doing, because they're scared for their own safety as well. So so that's a good way to overcome that fear. Learn a little bit about taking care of the board, and get comfortable talking with people in the lineup. What else we got fear? We got fear of wave size.
Fear of wave size. That's also a really and all fears. I think there's something good in all fears, because it keeps you alive and it keeps you non-injured.
Yeah.
So all fears are good, but it can also turn bad if it makes you, so you don't want to go out and surf. But fears of big waves can be good in the way that you start with small waves and then work your way up so it gets bigger and bigger. And sometimes you can be caught in a place with some of your friends and they go out surf and it's really big and they want to stay in that spot and someone else is driving the car and it's not your car. It's okay to sit that one out. If there are no small waves there, then just wait and just watch people what they do. Try to analyze where they catch the waves and how they're paddling and how they get out, how they, for instance, make a turtle roll or duck dive, or how they get under the wave. Try to learn from it, and then it's perfectly acceptable to say no, I don't want to go out today. And then also start out small and slowly build up so you get better and better. No one started out in like really, really big waves and got really good really fast. Everyone started somewhere, learned board control techniques, and then they built it up. So don't rush out there and get all the big waves, because you will probably just get tossed around in your board too, and you will hit yourself or someone else. Or So start in small ways and build up confidence and build up, be better and better, build up your technique, and it will come.
I agree with that 100%. But I also want to, say that's a double-edged sword, because it's so easy to get in your comfort zone and just surf what you feel comfortable with. Am I right?
Yeah.
And then when you actually do go out and you sort of test yourself in a situation where it's not like completely realistically dangerous. I'm not saying you should put your life on the line, but you're maybe just a little bit outside of your comfort zone, just a little bit outside, maybe like, just not a huge amount, just a little bit outside. I think sometimes like some of the best waves I've ever caught is when I'm outside of my comfort zone. I definitely am able to switch to different gear that I never knew I had until I pushed myself to come out in my comfort zone. And sometimes, like Kris says, it's because you're coming out with friends and they're better, they have a higher skill, so they're out there trying to catch better waves. And I get dragged along, and then me being the idiot I am, I just kind of like, go for it. And you can learn a lot by that too. And sometimes you're ready for that next step without even knowing you're ready. So, you test yourself, but don't put your life in the line, for Pete's sake. Do not put your life or anybody else's on the line. Okay? So,
Yeah, then we have fear of the ocean, that it's too deep if you cannot swim.
Yeah, you were talking about a buddy of ours that has a fear for. I didn't know that, but if you can't touch the ground, I mean, it's a bit uncomfortable too, for sure. I mean,
I like when it's deep because that.
But he's a good surfer, our buddy.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
how does he deal with it? You know?
Yeah, but he also have fears. I found out, like he hates people who don't have a leash on.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And I think that it's because he's afraid for himself. For instance, what's he gonna do without a leash? So that has become a fear element by itself. People surfing without a leash. But if you break it down and if you look at it, from a scientific point of view, we don't have any real injuries with people surfing without a leash, but we have a lot of injuries with people surfing with a leash.
Yeah, that just goes with the surf. That's with the skill level is different, like
yeah, sure. Definitely. So if you want to change, if you put some scientific into your fears and say how many people, again, it's the same with like people may have a little fear of flying.
Oh yeah,
and
I got a great story for that.
And you're saying that, but more people are dying by a car accident. Like, so sometimes you also have to put your fears into saying that, there's a chance that, you can always get injured, but what are the chances of certain elements?
Yeah.
And but I think I would start swimming where it's not so deep, like in a local pool, where you can touch the bottom all the time or touch the side or whatever, so you always can like get up. And then I would start, learning how to swim and be really good at it. And then when you do that, then you can swim with you can have a bodyboard floating or whatever, something you can grab onto. Okay. So you teach yourself slowly and build up confidence in the ocean, and I think that's the way to overcome fear of the water being too deep. Right.
Sounds good. So I was going to say I have a story about the flying. Fear of flying. I was actually scared of flying. I wasn't really scared of flying, but my wife, she was scared of flying, and you know how it is. It's contagious. So when she was hanging on to me, I was like, what are you hanging on for? And all of a sudden, I got kind of scared too. So I do a lot of flying. Before I started surfing, I did something called cloud surfing, which I just figured out myself. I actually always was fascinated with the water, even though I was afraid of the ocean. I would actually sit on the plane, and I'd turn my feet to the side, and I'd close my eyes, and I'd ride the turbulence like I was riding a wave. And it got to the point there where it's actually, when the turbulence stopped, I was actually bummed. I actually was bummed. I was like, oh man, what do I do now? For the next 9 hours. So yeah. so it's kind of funny. Our fears are kind of like, as Kris said, there's something that is an instinctual, it's an internal thing for us to survive. It's a survival instinct that we all have, but overcoming our fears is one of the most powerful things that we can do. And overcoming our fears of surfing is going to just make you feel so great about yourself. So I don't know, do I have any more on the topic?
Well, no, I think maybe we just have to wrap it up and saying that it's good to have fears, and it's good to like take it in your own tempo. Sometimes you also have to get out of your comfort zone a little bit, but without risking it all. Don't risk your life or anything, but have fears and try slowly to work with it in a progressive way, so that you will be able to, because everyone should be able to go out and surf. Everybody should be able to be enjoying themselves in the ocean, but you also have to like take care of those risks that are there. Perfect.
That's great. All right. If you guys have any suggestions for any upcoming podcasts or videos, just send a comment in the comment section below. If you have anything you can relate to as far as fear goes, leave a comment in the comment section below. We would love to hear from you. Anyways, we'll talk to you guys, and we'll catch up with you next time, right?
Yeah.
All right. Cheers. Super. Woo. I don't know if we ran out of film there before we ended. No, it's